shrug your shoulders up to your ears and then release them. Really let them drop. Do that a couple more times. Shrug and drop. Hopefully your shoulders are already feeling a little more free. Let's do that again, changing it up a little bit. Shrug your shoulders up as before, and now roll them back and drop them down. And do that again. Shrug your shoulders up, roll them back, and slide them down. And do that once more on your own. Rest your arms at your sides. Relax your shoulders and lift your side ribs towards your collarbones. Breathe in, raising your arms parallel to the floor. And breathing out, sweep your arms behind your back. Bring the back of each hand onto the lower ribs. Gently press the ribs into the hands. You may feel like you're slightly rounded over. And now again, lift your side ribs towards your collarbones, this time while consciously keeping your lower ribs pressed to your hands. Don't let your lower ribs push forward, and don't tuck your tailbone. Now release your arms to your sides, feeling your loose shoulders. From the short end, roll your blanket up to make a bolster. Now lie back on the bolster, positioning it behind both your neck and the uppermost shoulders. Rest your arms on the floor with your palms turned up. Close your eyes, relax your breathing, and let your neck and shoulders melt into the support given by the blanket roll. Many of us hold considerable tension in the neck and upper back. I've found that exercises to consciously release that muscle tension allows active poses to be practiced in a more efficient way. Part of the process of undoing is to have a growing awareness of what tension in the neck and shoulder region feels like. To feel the stuff that needs to be undone. You may be able to feel the tightness and be unable at first to let it go. With practice, you'll build an understanding of what letting go actually feels like, and your neck and upper back will be liberated from years' worth of muscle tension. As the neck relaxes, see if you can lengthen it, sliding your shoulders a bit further away from your ears. Keep your shoulders broad. The breath is steady and relaxing as you continue to simply soften your neck and shoulders. Breathing in, extend your arms up. And slowly stretch them overhead without any involvement from your neck. Keep the neck soft. Focus instead on reaching from the side body and the underarm to extend your arms. Now lower your arms and move the bolster out from under your head and rest in constructive rest pose. Lie on your back in constructive rest with your right arm on the floor at shoulder height. Breathing in, stretch the left arm up, and breathing out, reach to the right, turning your upper body. Trying to turn enough that your left palm comes to the right hand. Your left hip will probably lift slightly, but keep your knees in constructive rest. Feel the upper back stretch as it widens. Now hold your left wrist, and as you breathe out, gently pull to turn the upper body to the right even more. Pause on each breath in, and gently pull again on each breath out. The breath stays quiet and steady. If you feel you need more height under your head, increase the size of your blanket. And keep the neck long. Inhale and release your arm, rolling back to constructive rest. Taking your left arm to the side, breathe in and raise the right arm. Breathing out, reach left, turning the upper body and trying to bring the right palm to the left. The right hip will lift slightly. Now hold your right wrist, and as you exhale, gently pull to the left, rotating the body a little more. This is quite a stretch, so stay aware of keeping the breath steady and making sure you exhale. Inhale, release, and return to constructive rest. From constructive rest, lift your hips and slide your left forearm under the back of your waist, then hips back down. Ideally, your fingers are visible by the right waist. However, if your shoulder hurts or you begin to feel pins and needles, slide the arm out slightly. Your shoulder will not be on the floor, and that's okay. Close your eyes and turn your attention to feeling the movement of your breath in your upper side ribs, letting the rhythm of the breath start to release tension from your shoulder and upper back muscles. Now exhale and broaden your chest. And with an out breath, gently shift your side ribs toward the mat. As you do this, you may feel your lower back muscles react and tighten, or even lift up off your forearm. Avoid this. Try to keep them neutral. So the good work of this exercise targets the upper back, without any borrowing of the action from the lumbar spine muscles. Do that again. Exhale and broaden your left chest. With an out breath, shift your side ribs toward the floor, keeping your lower back neutral. Now slide your arm out and rest for a moment. The left upper body will feel more relaxed. Now let's do the other side. Slide your right forearm under your waist, adjusting the position if the shoulder is in pain or you get pins and needles or numbness. Once you're settled in, close your eyes, allowing the rhythm of the breath to work its magic on the shoulder. Just conscious rest and conscious breathing will help to begin unwinding holding patterns that you may have held for years in these upper body muscles. You may even begin to feel a slight shift in the alignment of the bones. Keep your lower back resting in neutral on the forearm. As you exhale and broaden your chest and shoulder, and shift your side ribs toward the floor. Rest for a moment and we'll do that again. So exhale, broaden your chest and shoulder, and shift your side ribs towards the floor while keeping your lower back passive on the forearm. Now slide your arm out and rest on your back in constructive rest again, feeling those nice relaxed shoulders. Lie in constructive rest, holding a block between your palms as I'm showing. Make sure the whole palm, including the heel of the hand, is on the side block. Stretch the arms toward the ceiling and then bend the elbows 90 degrees. Keep the arms bent 90 degrees as with an exhalation you slowly take your arms overhead, touching the block to the floor. Don't allow the lower back to pop up. If you find this easy, you can increase the challenge by putting a blanket roll under your shoulders. Now exhale and extend the arms toward the ceiling again. And once more bend the elbows 90 degrees. If your lower back did lift off the floor, take a moment now to engage the belly muscles and pull your front ribs toward your hips. And then again, elbows bent 90 degrees. Exhale and take the arms slowly overhead, touching the block to the floor. Still pressing the sides of the block, slowly straighten your arms overhead now by the ears, again without allowing the lower back to pop up off the floor. Keep the breath steady, and you may not be able to fully straighten your arms. Inhale to release and return to constructive rest. From constructive rest, stretch your arms out wide on the floor. Now bend your elbows 90 degrees, raising your forearms and making fists with your hands that face the ceiling. Broaden your upper back and chest. Keeping the arms bent at 90 degrees, exhale and slowly begin to lower the back of your wrists towards the floor, as I'm showing. This shoulder stabilizing exercise strengthens the upper back muscles and can help improve posture. Don't be surprised, however, if you find this difficult and more challenging on one side than the other. You can modify the exercise by sliding the wrists wider than the elbows. Make sure the lower back stays neutral. Keep it in the upper back. And remember to breathe steadily. Inhale to release, resting in constructive rest. Sit crossed leg on a folded blanket. And your feet under your knees. Sit tall in easy pose. If you're unable to sit upright on one folded blanket, add a second. Now take your hands behind your back and with an exhalation, press them down. This action will engage muscles in the middle back that will help improve posture and strengthen upper back muscles. Lift your side ribs, allowing the shoulders to slightly press down. The more you support yourself from the upper torso, the less you'll hold yourself from the neck and shoulders. And tension in those areas will gradually let go. Can you stop pressing down with the hands now and still keep the lift of the side body? Let your shoulders relax and rest now on the ribs like a collar. Inhale, bringing your arms parallel to the floor in front of you, palms turned in. And breathing out, begin to raise the arms by the ears. Go slowly as you do this. And stop if you feel your neck or shoulders begin to tighten. Remember lying over the neck roll and taking your arms overhead without the neck becoming involved. It's just like that. If your neck does tighten, simply back off and try again, being more conscious of raising the arms from the side ribs and the pinky side of the arm. As you raise your arms, remember the firm action of the back muscles you gained from pressing the hands to the floor. And as always, don't borrow the movement by popping your lower ribs forward. Keep the lower back neutral. Inhale, release, lower your arms, and sit in easy pose. Sit on a folded blanket and bend your knees, putting your feet on the floor about hip-width apart, and take your hands behind you, turning them to face the rear or the side of the mat if turning them towards the rear of the mat is too challenging. Press down with the hands and feel the chest respond by lifting, and the same muscles as in the previous pose will engage. This is great for the upper back. Breathe in, press down through your feet. Push your knees forward. Look at your feet, and breathing out, lift your side ribs and hips as high as they'll go to stretch of the East pose. Continue to look towards your knees and breathe steadily. Inhale, release, and sit back down. We'll try this again, this time with the fingers facing forward. So knees bent, feet on the floor, Press down with the hands and feet. Inhale, knees forward. Exhale, lift the side ribs and hips as high as they'll go. A little more. And drop your head back. Inhale, release, and sit back down. If you feel one hand position works better for you, and you probably will, you can choose that position each time you practice this pose. Kneel with your forearms on the floor, holding a block between the palms. Make sure the whole palm, including the heel of the hand, presses the side of the block. Your elbows are shoulder-width apart. Position your knees under the hips, patting them with a blanket if need be, and squeeze the ends of the block. Broaden your chest and widen your shoulders. Now exhaling, push your hips back behind your knees to stretch the side body and shoulders. Do this slowly to ensure you keep your elbows at shoulder width. And make sure you don't have your knees too far forward. You don't want to be able to sit all the way onto your heels. That ensures that you get the best action in your upper back possible. Shift your hips back far enough that you rest your forehead on your mat in heart-opening pose. If this bothers your shoulder, elevate your head on a folded blanket or a block. Exhale as you press your elbows into the floor and lift the block a couple of inches. With this pose, you're strengthening the muscles that create stability between the joints of the upper back and shoulders. Lower your block and rest in child pose. Kneel with your knees under your hips and forearms on the mat. Join your hands and position your elbows shoulder width apart and shoulders over elbows. Broaden your chest and upper back, and breathing in, press down through your forearms, and exhaling, raise your knees. Straightening them as much as possible while still keeping the chest broad and lifted. Your breath stays strong and steady. On your next exhalation, move your side ribs towards your shoulders to push your upper body forward over the forearms to a variation of low plank pose. Try to hold for 2 or 3 breaths, then shift back and come down to rest for a moment in child pose. Let's do that again. Kneel with your forearms on the floor, hands clasped. Check that your elbows stay shoulder width. Breathing in, press down with your forearms, and exhaling, raise your knees, straightening them as much as possible. Strong, steady breathing. With your next exhalation, shift your side ribs toward the shoulders, bringing your upper body over the forearms. If you feel up for a more challenging variation, Wiggle your feet back, bringing the body to a truer plank position. Keep the abs pulled gently in to support your lower back. And then come to your knees and rest face down, head on your hands in crocodile pose. Lying face down, place your palms on the floor, shoulder width apart by the side ribs. Have your feet hip width apart. And press down with the centered feet and thighs. Breathing in, raise your head and chest while keeping the belly on the floor. Maintain steady breathing and lift your side ribs toward the collarbones. Press your hands into the floor and lengthen the back of the arm to the elbows. Now exhale and raise straight legs off the floor. This is a version of locust pose. Try not to overgrip the glutes and pull the upper belly slightly in if the back hurts, but don't tuck. Inhale, release, and rest your head on your hands for a moment. Let's practice that again. Hands by the ribs, and this time with the feet mat width apart. Be aware of how you place your feet. If the glutes grip too tightly, it will turn your legs out, perhaps causing compression in the lower back. However, you don't want to overcorrect by turning the heels out, as that can weaken muscles in your hips. Concentrate instead on keeping the feet centered. Press down with the feet and thighs. Press down through your hands as well, and inhaling, raise your head and chest off the floor, again keeping the belly on the mat. Steady breathing. Now on your next exhale, raise straight legs off the floor. And notice the difference, if any, between feet hip width apart or mat width apart. Inhale, release, and rest your head on your hands for crocodile pose. Everyone is different, so going forward, consider practicing locust pose and other back bends with your feet slightly wider than hip width, if your back is more comfortable in that position. Roll your blanket into a firm cylinder to make a bolster that's going to go under your upper back. You'll also need a yoga block to place under your head. Place the bolster across your mat and lie back on it, positioning it under your upper back so the arms just clear the bolster. Place the block under your head. Gently lengthen your neck, but don't overdo it. Pulling the chin in too much will tighten the throat. Rest your arms at shoulder height. Bend your knees and put your feet on the floor. Lift your hips slightly and exhaling, draw your belly in to elongate your lower back. And then rest back on the floor. Let's do that again. Press down with your feet and exhaling, lift the hips while drawing the belly to the spine without gripping the glutes. And release. Do this once more on your own. Now straighten your legs, close your eyes, and relax. If your lower back is uncomfortable, make sure the bolster isn't positioned too low down your back. It needs to be in the upper back, right up to the armpits. If the bolster continues to be uncomfortable, make it smaller, or put something higher under your head. One of the most common causes of pain and fatigue is an over-rounded or flexed upper back. It's very common, so this back bend is helping you to passively release some of the muscle tension and gradually restore movement and ease, from which you can begin to build a strong upper back and improve your posture. Initially, you may have difficulty resting on the blanket because of long-held tension patterns in your muscles. But if you just spend a few minutes every day or so over the bolster, you'll begin to notice reduction of chronic tension in the neck and upper back. Keep your breathing slow and easy, resting here for a few more breaths with growing awareness of what it feels like to simply undo. Come off the bolster, place your feet on the floor again, and remove the block from under your head. Lift your hips and push your shoulders to the mat. Reposition the bolster under your hips and hug your knees. With the block within reach, lie on your back in constructive rest for bridge shoulder stand pose. Lift your hips and put the block across your sacrum. You have a choice for height. Either lay it flat, on its side, or on the tall end. Choose the highest lift that's comfortable for your back. Then place your feet hip-width apart, knees over ankles, with your arms resting at your sides. Let your breath relax, and allow your hips and lower back to relax as well. As you try to do this, you may become aware of gripping in the lower back and glutes that you didn't realize you had. Trust the support of the block and try to let the muscles relax. Just let go. Now bend your elbows by the ribs, with your forearms perpendicular to the mat. Exhale and gently press the back of your skull and elbows down. Action that lifts the ribs away from the floor. Enhance the lift further by consciously lifting the breastbone away from the throat and the side and back ribs out of the shoulders. Each breath in expands the chest. Each breath out launches the ribs a bit more. This pose, practiced regularly, stabilizes the upper back and can improve your posture. Now remove the block, lie on your back and hold your knees, pressing the whole back to the floor. I suggest you end every active practice in Savasana, the deep relaxation pose. Taking 5 minutes at the end of active poses is a wonderful way to complete your practice. Props under the head, neck, or shoulders can provide support that allows chronically tight muscles to relax further. For instance, if you have a tight neck, resting your head on a folded blanket can help tight neck flexors release. To relieve chronic upper backache, consider practicing Savasana with a folded blanket under both your head and upper back. When your shoulders are supported, tight muscles in the upper back can unwind more freely. Notice your breathing and allow its gentle rhythm to pulsate in and out of your body. Let this soothing rhythm encourage you to relax even more deeply. With each out breath, fall into the floor. If the mind wanders, simply bring your attention back to your breathing and fall into the floor. Notice your stillness. Notice your alertness. All benefits of your yoga practice. Now gently bend the knees and rest there. Slowly come upright and sit in simple crossed legs pose.